Hey, everybody, welcome back to another exciting, thrilling edition of 20 Minutes here. And again, I always appreciate the coaches joining us. We had fortunate enough to have three coaches join us last week. And well, whether he wanted to or not, I wanted to have our next guest on this week. Just had one of his top players give Northwestern University a verbal commitment. And that is big stuff for sure. So very happy and excited to bring my friend Sean Drendel in, head coach of Naperville North. And Sean, first of all, good to see you. Hope things are going well. And I think we both, you certainly knew before anyone, and I had a feeling pretty early on that that Aidan was going to get recruited quite a bit. And boy, you got to give Fitz and Northwestern credit. When they see something, they go after it. And here you go, locked up and committed.
Yeah, like Aidan was pretty unique that he kind of had a good idea where he wanted to be. So, when they offered, they kind of told us, hey, we've offered a couple quarterbacks, and the first one that takes it is the guy we're going to go with, and and then with quarterback you only get one. So we talked and we had a great conversation, Aidan and myself and his family, and I think he just realized that, hey, being a Chicago kid, opportunities of being a quarterback in Chicago are unbelievable. And, he watched what Clayton Thorson did a few years back, and having those opportunities, I think Aidan just figured it was the right decision.
So what is Northwestern getting in Aidan Gray? I know I've gotten to know him and watch him quite a bit and try to give it from my end, but from you being a day in and day on coach and knowing him just about as well as anyone, what are they getting in Aidan Gray?
I mean, they're getting a really good football player, but they're getting an even better person and family that he comes from, so I think that's where they really fit with Northwestern. The unique part about Aidan's game is, when things break down is kind of when Aidan, starts to shine, so the off script stuff is where he's really good right now. And the in the pocket stuff is the stuff he's got to work at. So it's kind of a little bit different than most people, that they're pretty polished in the pocket. We don't do a whole lot of pocket stuff. So Aidan's got to get better at being in the pocket, and he knows it. Probably the other great thing that I love about Aidan is any college coach that came in to see him and watch him, Aidan would ask, what did they see? What didn't they like? Was his question to me. And I would tell him, and he'd take that feedback and he'd go work on it. So I think they're going to find they got a hard worker, a kid who wants to get better, and a really good leader, and a good Chicagoan, a guy who loves his state and loves the people around here.
I think what's really interesting about him, and talk a little bit about his leadership. And it's, you hear it more and more common when people try to describe a player that he has it. But with his personality, Sean, I mean, he's a guy that can take charge of a huddle and a situation, and isn't afraid to step up and be that leader. That's part of him that just really jumped out at me this past season. And I mean, I saw it in an Equal Valley game when it got down to crunch time, and wasn't phased whatsoever, and just really stood tall when you needed him the most.
Yeah, he's a fun-loving kid. He loves to play the game. He loves his teammates. And the unique thing is his teammates love him back. He's just enough cocky to be really good.
Yeah.
But he's not arrogant. He's a really nice kid. He'll say, you see in the hallways, people say hi to him, people that you would not think he'd be around or hang around, or different people say hi to him all the time. And it's just unique characteristic that he has. People gravitate to him, and he's going to be a great leader. And he wants Northwestern to win a bunch of games and win a Big Ten title, and he wants to be kind of a little bit of a Pied Piper, of a hometown guy, a hometown hero, is some of they're kind of using that term. I think they got another one in the kid from Brother Rice already. So they're starting to build an idea of going after the kids around here and making do with what they got around here and going to make some good players. So I've watched it from this conference many times. Clayton Thorson, Justin Jackson, Newsome. There's been plenty that have been really successful at Northwestern from the DVC, or what was the DVC.
All right, so you brought the conference up, so I'm going to spin out of Aidan Gray talk just for a second because you brought it up. You had a solid season last year, got into the playoffs. We'll go back to who your first round of playoff opponent was, which is still one of my favorite stories from last year. Great conference. I mean, competitive. You know, even Mattia Valley, I think, is really starting to maybe get some traction, and they're still trying to get over the hump. But I don't know, Sean, I see flashes of maybe things starting to maybe turn their way a little bit in the conference. So every team is solid. Last handful of years, not great in the postseason. Why is that?
Well, I would agree with you that every team's solid, that you got to play your best games week in, week out. And anyone can kind of get you at any time. I would probably say, you know, one of the things that I believe has hurt us in the playoffs is that we have to play that extra non-conference game. When all six are pretty solid in your league, there's no rest. There's no week that you're going to face a down team or a team that's not overly prepared. And then the last couple of years, we've had to play a week 9 game that was, for us this year, it was a DVC conference title game.
Right.
In other years, I think Naperville Central played East St. Louis. Neuqua Valley played East St. Louis. Anytime you add games like that and you watch our non-conference games, like, we're fighting for getting to 5 wins. We're not fighting to get to 7 wins. We're fighting to get to 5.
Yeah.
So that's made it tough. When we go out of state, you look at the teams we played out of state, you know, the team we lost to was at one point 11-1. You know, I mean, they ended at 11-2.
Yeah, and I know Neuqua did Neuqua play St. Mary's?
They played the state champs in Missouri.
Yeah.
You know, Naperville Central played Novi, who was, you know, in Michigan, another 9-2 team. So, you know, a few years back, we all traveled to, you know, we played Massillon Perry, who no one really knows about, but they ended up winning the state title the year we played it. I mean, so anytime you have to do that, that makes it difficult, and it's the wear and tear, and 6-hour drives, you know, add up late in the year. So
yeah, it's fair.
Those things kind of hurt, but you know, our league's super tough. I mean, and you know, I'll get into it. Playing Naperville Central twice, like, that's a bear, you know, and you got to face someone like Reggie Florima. I mean, talk about talented kids. You got to face him, and you know, we punted it right to him when we weren't supposed to, and he takes it to the house. So like those kind of ideas, it makes it tough, but you know, you got to beat good teams, and we were unable to do it the second time with them. And I think Neuqua had a good showing in the playoffs. So I don't think we were terrible in the playoffs, but
no, you weren't.
Yeah.
You weren't.
So, you know, Neuqua had an opportunity. They should have or could have beat Maine South, you know, who ended up getting second. So that's a pretty good showing. So
yeah, very true. And you're right. You're right about the conference. Let's face it. It's been stability has not been a key term the last handful of years while you guys are trying to sort through this. So that's very fair. There's no cop out whatsoever. There's a lot of truth behind that for sure.
And you know, we're trying to create stability in 23. You know, there's a chance we're going to cross over and play the Lincoln Way East, the Lockports, the HFs, the
awesome.
which, hey, that's not an easy walk right now. I mean, that might be the best league in the state right now. So, but we're not shying away from people. We'll go play them. And we just got to get a little bit better. So, you know, and I think, you know, Neuqua and ourselves are pretty primed to be pretty good next year. So it should be an interesting year.
As far as I want to go back to Aidan just a little bit, obviously committing early. didn't have a ton of quote unquote Power 5 offers. And, I've been asked that myself a little bit. Well, why weren't there more Power 5 offers? And, I think you could probably answer that as well as anyone. How much traffic was he getting? I know talking to him, he did mention some various Big Ten schools that were in touch and staying in touch. And was it a case of just needing to see him more, like every other quarterback, where they will tell you, hey, we're going to offer a kid now, we like you, but we want to come in and see you throw in the spring? Was it that kind of feedback on him? Because otherwise, Sean, you look at his size and his ability and his tape, and I would not be surprised at all, even though he's committed, for him to continue to draw Power 5 interest and possibly offers, even though he's committed.
Well, we've had discussions, he and I, and he's firmly committed to Northwestern, but he wants to go compete at Elite 11. And right. I'm going to tell you what, I would not be surprised if he's one of the 11 that goes to Elite 11.
Yep.
He's one of the best kids in the country. Wake Forest, he was down at their camp this summer. They loved him. They said he's better than the kid who's ranked number 8 in the country. So I think a piece of it was we played spring football his sophomore year.
100%.
So he didn't get seen as much as he should. We play in the North. North quarterbacks don't get a whole lot of traction. I think as people got to see him, out of most of the coaches that came to see him in this little window in January, most of them, the statements that came out of their mouths was, he's a lot better than I thought.
Yep.
And number 2, he throws it way better than I thought.
Yeah.
And the third point was he's a lot bigger than we thought. So Aidan grew 2 inches since the season ended. He was 6'2". He's now 6'4", all of 6'4", 195. I would not be shocked. His dad's 6'6". I wouldn't be shocked if he's 6'6", 210 by the time we play again.
Yeah.
He's a specimen. He reminds me a little bit of Matt Lacoste,
Yep.
Who ended up being a tight end at U of I, and in the NFL for 5 or 6 years, or still in the NFL. So Aidan's a better quarterback than Matt was, and that's no knock on Matt. Aidan's just a really good quarterback. So I would suspect that he won't blow up as much as he probably would have, but he's going to blow up this spring. People are still going to come look at him. He's still going to throw in the mornings because we got other kids that need to get some looks. We have a unbelievable 24 receiver that should have
Luke Williams.
In my opinion, he has one from Miami of Ohio.
Yep.
He reminds me a lot of Reggie, watching Reggie grow up in our league. So, they're very similar type kids that just make plays. So, I think Aidan is absolutely amazing. He's a great kid. And he probably could have gotten a lot of Power 5 offers. I just think teams were a little bit slow because of where we are and because of sophomore year. He played 1.5 games.
I'm glad you mentioned that sophomore year, Sean, because more and more coaches I talk to, and the more and more I dig into this, you find out a lot of those coaches didn't even really look hard or even consider some of that spring tape that came through. Because first of all, everybody knew it was quote unquote wasn't going to count. Number 2, they knew that in your case, would you wind up with 2 games?
We played 3, none of, we lost 3 games, none of our doing, other teams.
Yeah. Yeah. And people, it was so discombobulated. And look, everybody's glad we got something in the spring. For the seniors, your senior group that year, they got the dress, they got to go hit someone from Central. They got, they did everything they had hoped to do, obviously not playing in a playoff, but they were able to walk out at least in a uniform, finishing up their career, which I think everyone will agree at the time that was the right thing to do. But yeah, I mean, there's been so much impact on the recruiting process, and we're seeing it all over the place. You see it every day.
We have a 22 that Zeke Williams is fabulous.
Right.
He's a preferred walk-on at Northern Illinois. And he's an unbelievable player.
Yeah, he should be a scholarship player.
Yep. But it is what it is. Like, you can't be upset by it. You just got to try to find ways to get your kids seen more opportunities. And that's the part I love about Aidan. Aidan's like, I'll still throw for people because I want to help out my teammates. And you're like, I'm not really throwing for them. I'm throwing for my teammates to be seen. So
yeah, it's great.
It'll be great.
You mentioned Luke Williams and and how strong of a player Zeke was for you, and give us some others. Talk about some of your underclassmen that maybe people should be aware of.
I tell you what, go watch the tape on our right tackle. Jackson Kirsten he's got great feet. He's all at 260 now. He played at 230. He's a 3-year player for us. David Jones plays outside linebacker, strong safety for us. He's outstanding. Another 23. That's a 3-year player. Our middle linebacker is Ryan Anderson. He led us in tackles last year. He's an Ivy type kid. He goes about 6'2", about 200 pounds right now. So we got a lot of nice pieces. We're going to be a lot better defensively. We have a good young stable of defensive linemen coming up that are a little bit thicker than we were this spring. We weren't great defensively. We battled hard and we played hard, but we weren't great defensively because we just didn't have the size up front. But we returned 3 offensive linemen. We get another kid back that was out for the year. So we got a nice nucleus. Our running back stable is as good as it's been. Nate Jacobs was hurt most of the year, but he's a great player for us. And Danny Elo is a kid who played a little bit for us when Ethan Roberts was out. So we're going to be pretty good offensively. We got about 6 or 7 kids that played a lot, and defensively we're about the same. So we're excited. Luke Williams on defense is a fabulous playmaker as well. Yep. So we're super excited, and our sophomore team was 7-2. So we like where we're at. We like where we're going. We're going to be physical. We know, we got St. Mary's from Michigan coming down to play us week 3. This year we don't have to travel for week 3. So that's kind of a nice bonus. And we get to play Naperville Central twice, maybe a little grudge match again with the Red Hawks. And I know, 2 years in a row, 2 times, we just hope we don't see them in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, let's get to that a little bit.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
So, and obviously this doesn't have any impact on Naperville North, but IHSA today announced that the board approved all 8 classes, 1A through 8A, will now be seated by a true 1 through 32 seating, which fortunately in 8A and 7A, you guys have gotten used to and have benefited from in some cases. We'll get to your case in a second here, but Sean, I told you my favorite moment from last year was being able to cover your game at Nequa. Tremendous ball game, last second, really last minute win for you guys, and all the excitement. And I see it right after the game right around the 50-yard line, and you come right up to me and go, "Hey, I already know we're playing Central in round 1. I already know. Don't bother. Don't do the show or anything. I'm just telling you right now, we are playing Naperville Central in round 1." And sure enough, you played Naperville Central in round 1. Now, the point I bring that up is it at least a little more tolerable? Now, don't get me wrong. I would love to be able to tweak things to where we can avoid those matchups. 2 conference teams going after each other in the first round. That should be an automatic reason to move someone up or down, in my opinion. But that's my thought. But at least under the 1 through 32 is at least a little more tolerable.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I was okay with it. I know a lot of people asked me after we lost to them the second time, here we have beat them, we play them again, we lose to them. And after the game, they're like, well, you got to be upset with how they seeded them. And they didn't seed them. They just they go by records. It's a straight seed.
Not hard. Right.
I'm not disappointed in how it's seeded. And they didn't modify the rules to screw Naperville North. It's the rules were in front of us.
Right.
I'm perfectly fine if you lose a game by the rules, by how it was set way before the season started. That's how it goes. So I think you look at some of these leagues, and there's some up north, where Carey's at, and those
Yep.
teams,
Yep.
they get tired of playing each other.
Exactly.
At least
Well,
now.
you guys did that for years.
We did for years, and when we went to 1 through 32, it's okay. I mean, and you're going to end up playing each other. I mean,
Right.
there's no doubt, and you got to be okay with it. But at least it's not based on location
Or round two.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that the IHSA did that.
Yeah.
I know they talk about distance. Hey, if distance mattered, we would have done districts, and Naperville North wouldn't be traveling to Ohio.
Yeah.
A 7-hour bus trip to play a game in Ohio. We would have figured that out. But so to me, those types of things don't give me the distance thing. That's the greatest part about high school football is traveling within your state and bringing, especially small towns, bringing the whole town and
exactly.
Go play at Rochelle or Sycamore or Mount Carmel in Southern Illinois. Go play at some of those places. And some of these teams have never had to do it. And I think it'll be great for high school football. I think you go look at Princeton, go play at Princeton. There's some great football throughout the state. And I've missed a few that are really good, but those types of things I think are great for the sport. And I'm glad the IHSA had enough stones to pick up and do it.
I agree. I think it's truly a step in the right direction towards trying to maximize what we're doing here playoff wise. Trying to make it.
If we truly, to me, Edge, if we wanted to go to true playoffs, extend it one more week, and let everyone in, and then these non-conference fear or scared or don't want to lose a game, those go bye-bye, and we get some real games. I mean, how great would it be early in the year to get Lincoln Way East versus Marist or something like that, a real great game. And I know we get them at times, but it'd be great to have some of those games. I'd love to go play Mount Carmel. I mean, I know it'd be a tough game, but playing down at their place, that'd be cool.
I'm not discounting that theory. I think that could still have some legs down the road here a little bit.
I wish we'd get off the hung up about playing Thanksgiving weekend. That to me is the one that the IHSA is still hung up on. And if we could get rid of that, I think we could do it.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that, I mean, I guess I get it. I guess scheduling wise, it's okay. And from a facility standpoint, I guess it works out. But yeah, I agree. I just, first of all, I'd like to end it a week earlier than we are in Thanksgiving. I just think that just benefits you.
Yeah, I mean, finishing on Thanksgiving weekend does not help attendance. I know that.
No.
That the last thing I want to do, if I'm not playing in that game, I'm not going to see it.
Right.
If it was the weekend before, I probably would.
Yeah. Yep. I don't disagree. Well, that's for another day. Yeah. We'll start breaking apart everything. You want to start public-private talk yet, or should we save that for another?
If you want, let's play them. Let's play some games. I know there's a lot of people who want to split them. The public did just fine this year. George Zark didn't say he didn't want to play those teams, and neither did Joe Wardinsky or Kerry Grove didn't say we can't play East St. Louis. So I'm all for, hey, let's play the games. Like if we're good enough to go beat Loyola, let's go beat them.
So your situation at Naperville North is pretty unique, especially since you've been able to do it this way for as a head. You're going into your 13th season?
Yeah, something like that.
And then going further back as an assistant under Larry McEwen. So you're not a teacher. You're not in the building. You actually have a job outside of the building, and then you obviously come into your coaching duties. Sean, is it me or is that becoming more commonplace? I'm noticing it seems like to me more and more schools seem to be a little bit more willing to bring in someone not in the building. Have you noticed that? And how have you been able to make that work for you?
Well, I mean, you're able to make it work with great assistants, number one. You got to have great people in the building that assist you. And, we have some great ones. And if I start naming some, I'm going to miss someone.
Oh, I know.
I have great assistants up and down the line, from freshman head coach, sophomore head coach, coordinators, all those pieces, quarterback. Like, we have guys that assist and do a great job. I think part of it, Edge, and you probably know this, is it's a tough day. If you're a head coach and the things you got to do, and in the state of Illinois, you still got to teach a class. You got to teach multiple classes.
Right.
That's a long day. I mean, the recruiting part, there were days we threw in the morning, the kids at school, we lifted in the afternoon in front of some coaches, and then we came back at 8:00 at night and threw again. Like, that's a ridiculous day for a coach, a teacher. For me, I leave the school and I can go sling some mortgages and talk to grownups for a little while. I don't think the teachers, coaches can do that. Like, they got to deal with kids the whole time.
Yep.
So, that's kind of the idea for me. I think I've been lucky enough that I have the support from my administration, that they had the faith that I could do it and handle it. Great support from my former head coach. Coach McEwen's always been awesome. So there's got to be a lot of right pieces, but it's definitely doable. And it's all about, there's so many great head coaches out there right now, but it's all about passion and trying to manage your time. And I think as we get some of these younger coaches involved, they want to be head coaches, but they don't quite realize the managing your time, or that you got a 5-year-old at home, and how do you handle that when your wife is, screaming mad at you about having.
Or you get older and your daughter wants to make 17 college visits. I know.
Yeah, right. Like those things do happen, but I'm on the back end of those things. So, my kids are, all but one are still left in the house. So it'll be, I think my wife wants me to keep coaching, so I'm out of her hair and just so she can do her thing. So, and kind of leave her be. So, but that's kind of, I think that's the unique thing is I don't think there's a lot of guys who say they want to be head coaches, but once they get into it, they're out of it quick. There's been a lot of them recently that have been 2-3 years and done. And you got to find someone who's passionate. I love Naperville North. Like I said in my interview 13 years ago, I want to be a head coach at Naperville North. I don't want to be a head coach anywhere else. Like, I don't want to coach anywhere else.
Yep.
So that's why I'm there, and I'll probably be there as long as they'll have me. And when that ship sails, I'll be moving on myself and probably not coaching again. No. So I love our community.
Let's hope that you stay there for a long, long time, and we can keep hassling you for a long time. And
I'm starting to get pretty gray up here, so
well, gray's better than none.
I'm pretty big down here, so
gray's better than none, pal.
Right.
So, but hey, again, we're already way over time. I appreciate you taking time out as always. I know you've been busy, but again, I always enjoy talking to you, my man. It's always fun. Good luck this off season. Good luck going into the season. I'll run into you somewhere this spring or this summer for sure.
Yeah, as always, like, go Huskies, right? That's the big one.
Yep.
Maybe this year it's been 15 years since we last won it, and 30 years since we won it the first time. So
no better time than the present, huh?
Yeah, we'd like to go at it. So
all right, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thanks
Sean Drendel joining us on 20 minutes. And again, thanks, Sean, for taking time, and stay tuned. Plenty more interviews coming up for you later this week and all throughout the winter and spring. So thanks for watching, everybody.